Hello, everyone, and welcome to day number 2 of the BJ Destruction League Season 2, brought to you by Freakin' TV and Alpha X. My name is Rushy. I'm so glad that you guys are willing to join me for the English cast here. We're excited to get into day number 2 here of this 7-day team tournament. We've got so much great content coming at you here throughout the course of the next few days, and we're really only just getting started at this point. Day 1 did make itself a nice little position of interest and intrigue here in our tournament. And I want to talk to you a little bit about it here as we get set and ready to go for today's match. In just a few minutes, we'll take a look at what today's lineup entails. But let me give you a little bit of a recap as to what happened in our last day's event. Of course, we have 5 different teams here playing for a great prize. At the very, very end, a significant amount of money here. We do have our 5 teams, 3 Zerg, Big Brother Cure, Beef Rice Stew, SSB, and Why Are You Here? Each day, 4 of our teams will face off against each other. The 5th team will take a bye day and not have to compete. But you can see that for every win, there's money involved, and the team that comes out at the end, all the way at the top, will receive our top prize pool money. It is an all-kill format, best of 5 team match game, where each team has 3 players, and each player has 1 life. First 2 players to square off will play against each other. Winner advances and continues to play in the series, and the loser has to sub in for one of their teammates, and it's a best of 5 series. Here you have a chance to see all of our team players here in this series. Of course, we've got some stacked names in the GSL ranks here. Multiple GSL champions, multiple BlizzCon champions, some of the best in the StarCraft 2 cycle. And of course, we're only on day number 2 here, getting ourselves ready to go for the remainder of the week. This is our last production at this time slot. The remaining 5 days of the event will be scheduled 5 hours in advance from right now. So it'll be 5 a.m. Central for me, noon Central European, and 5 o'clock for our Korean audience. So here's a look at our day 1 results here. It was a very, very quick first series here between 3 Zerg and Why Are You Still Here? The 3 Zerg players. DRG getting an all kill on his opponents. And of course, the other wind up of Big Brother Cure, Dong Regu, Solar manhandling the remainder of his team. Today's day number 2 matchup, it will be Beef Rice Stew versus Big Brother Cure. Back to that match 1, though, we do get a chance to see Beef Rice Stew versus Big Brother Cure. Solar exercising a lot of his ability yesterday in his match. But we have a brand new team that has not had a chance to play yet. They had their bye team, and it is Beef Rice Stew, a team consisting of completely Protoss players, Trap, Patience, and Creator. We know that Solar has been rather busy in the scene today. Of course, playing earlier today in the Stay at Home Story Cup. I won't spoil any of the results, but I know that Solar has been rather busy. and all set up and ready to go. So hopefully this will continue to be a good day for him, but our Protoss team will be fighting to compete in this series. Of course, they want to see their first match come and go in positive style. So we're just waiting now for the first match of our series here between Beef Rice Stew and Big Brother Cure, both teams able to choose their first player to go out. Big Brother Cure last time opting to go with Armani as their first player. All of the teams kind of tossing out some of their, I'll say, lower MMR team components. And we'll have to see if that's going to be the same case. But we are jumping in to our first match of the series. Thanks so much for joining us here on play.africatv.com/AlphaXSC2. Spawning in the bottom right of Death Aura is our Protoss player. Give it up for Creator. And spawning in the top left, playing for the Africa Freaks. Give it up for Armani. All right, so it's going to be a ZVP to start off this series. Now, we did not get a chance to see Cure of Big Brother Cure yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see if we can get to see Cure in this best of 5 setup. I mean, his name, it's his own teamsake name, right? We definitely want to get a chance to interact and see Cure. We might have a chance to see a little bit of TVP, but for right now, we are going to see lots and lots of ZBP in this series. Of course, Zerg versus Protoss drastically changed here in the last patch out by Blizzard. Major changes in the way that shield batteries work, involving the new battery overcharge to help give Protoss players a little bit more standing power when defending their base. Oracles having some of their key spells adjusted a little bit. Oracle Revelation costing less energy, but having a higher cooldown, making those units a little more energy efficient and being able to spot armies and still engage on top of them. And of course, all the different mechanics in terms of how Zerg functions in this game now, where Queens have a little bit lesser impact with their anti-air range going down, Creep being restructured. A whole lot of interesting little plays here. And I think over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to start seeing Protoss slowly embrace the changes. I mean, anytime you go into a patch, especially a patch with new maps, it is always interesting to see how things morph and change. And Death Aura, one of the maps that is very, very interesting. I love the acceleration zones in the center. We'll get a chance as we pan over every now and again to see what those acceleration zones can bring to the table. Creator opting to go for a very, very early Twilight Council. It's very popular right now, especially on this map, to go into that early Twilight Council and bring out Glaive Adepts against their opponents. And we've seen that a lot here, especially yesterday in our ZVPs that we saw in that matchup. But we're also just kind of seeing that in general. Protoss wanting to open in a little bit more aggressive, take advantage of the mobility of those Adepts. Robotics facility on the way as well. So that does kind of lean us towards the idea that this will in fact be Glaive Adepts, but it's not. It's actually going to be a Dark Shrine, a very, very quick Dark Shrine here for Creator. He's not really hiding that Dark Shrine too far back. So Armani could potentially get up and in to scout this with the Overlord, but there is a Stalker already in place. The Stalker will more than likely discourage that Overlord from getting the scout that it's looking for. Now, ooh, I like this from Armani. Armani placing a whole bunch of scout lings all around the perimeter of Creator's base. Armani knows that Creator is sometimes a little bit cheeky in this regard. And with that Stalker pushing away the Overlord, that's got to start ringing alarm bells in Armani's head as he's going, well, wait, what are you trying to prevent me from scouting? So he does have the second Overlord in position to try and get some of that valuable information, but he pulls all of the spotterlings. So it's going to come down to this. He is going to be able to see that Dark Shrine, and the Dark Shrine has been revealed. So now Armani needs to locate the Warp Prism. Where is that going to locate itself? Looks like it's going to wedge itself right in between the natural and the third base location. Lings are going to get out here and get around the Adepts. The Adepts are just going to get lifted up into the Warp Prism, but he knows that something is up. He can hear the sides. He knows that Dark Templar are on the map. Now, right now, it's not a full commitment. It's only one DT, a second one getting warped in. Actually, two more getting warped in back at home. Creator very worried about the counter push of Lings. So it's only going to be one DT out aggressively right now for Creator. And this is, I mean, a very, very patient play out of our blue Protoss player. So Creator behind this, going to opt to take his Nexus, albeit just a little bit late, but not going to be able to get that sneaky surprise attack that he was hoping for here in game number 1. And actually, here comes the run by right now. Those Lings are going to try and wrap around all of the units of Creator. There isn't a whole lot here. Archon is trying to get a lot of damage done, but that Archon is going to fall. The Warp Prism not able to connect. And all of those units are going to go down. And that does put Creator behind just a little bit. That Archon, very valuable unit at this point in the game. He does have enough DTs to morph in a second Archon. But even just one Archon across the map to create pressure and to draw focus away from Armani's macro cycle is not as effective as if he would have had two. So very good start here for Armani, our red Zerg player. Showing that even though he might be the first sacrifice up for Big Brother Cure, he's not going to just fold. He's not just going to push over like some chump. Now behind all of this, Creator does manage to secure his third base, does toss down a Forge, and starts moving himself forward in this event. Armani does manage to get his fourth base, still running by with these Lings, trying to get as much information as he possibly can. A Spire already on the way. Armani might take the opportunity to get up into Mutalisk. Is supplementing on the ground as well, getting that Roach speed. Roach speed now finishing up. The Creator is going to push across the map. Armani does have a sizable force here. Some good warp-ins aggressively will be able to add a little bit of fortitude to this fight. Armani's going to have to cancel his fourth base. He's just not able to hold on to it right here. He's waiting until the absolute last second, does finally get a cancel off on it. The one Archon does fall. So some of the teeth of this push here for Creator does fall away. Good chunk of those Roaches being morphed into Ravagers to help deal not only with the Stalkers and the Immortals, but also being able to engage upon those force fields. Unfortunate Bile does take down one of the creep tumors. So that will push creep off in a way in just kind of a weird fashion. But so far, Armani's holding this rather well here. Blink Stalkers will be forced to blink back and away. They do not want to overextend here. Armani responding very, very well here in this game number 1. Now remember, all of these matches are best of ones. So neither player really needs to hold back in this engagement. However, Armani does have to be careful here. If he does win out, he will face yet another Protoss opponent. So he doesn't want to just blindly throw away any real niche strategies that he may want to hang on to. Because he knows that his opponent is watching and waiting and will be ready to strike. All right, some good up posturing here by Armani. Does catch Creator out on the map just a little bit. These Stalkers are going to try and join the fray. Good amount of units start pouring in for Armani. Armani is going to try and engage here, wants to try and get some good damage done, but the force fields are very well placed. Some good Some good battery overcharge here on the bottom side. Going to try and keep this Immortal alive as often as possible. And this is where Armani just needs to rotate. Once he sees that battery overcharge happen into the third base, he just needs to rotate up, try and engage units away from that Nexus so we can try to get more value out of this. And now Armani is engaging on the high ground here. That's going to make this a much more difficult engagement for Creator. And Creator actually just saying, you know what? I don't need to engage you here. You can't push in. And if you do try to push in too far, I'm just going to flank you with my large Stalker army. Good amount of Ling's going to try and reinforce here and zone a little bit for this bulky army of Armani. And Armani's just buying time for himself. 16 Mutalisk on the way. Oh my gosh, what a tech switch here by our red Zerg player. He's going to try and trade out as effectively as possible. There are no High Templar in this mix, and Phoenix are not on the map at this time, so these Mutas are going to be able to jump on top of this army, and it is going to be a very, very quick engagement here. And in fact, it's possible, yeah, these Mutas are just going to fly right across the map and engage on the third. It might force Creator into a bit of an all-in scenario if Armani is able to get as much done as he would like to. And now the Stalkers are getting warped in. One Archon trying to morph itself onto the field, but not able to get to the completion, and does get picked off. Oh my gosh, look how fast. I love that all of the units, air and ground, get affected by those acceleration zones, and it just makes fast units zip by even faster. Well, Mutas do find an Artosis Pylon and do depower 3 of these warp gates. In fact, Armani trying to be brave enough to stay and damage this one warp gate. He's going to try his hardest to pick it off, and I think he might actually get it. In fact, just jumping right on top of the Stalkers here. He doesn't have any support for these Stalkers, and Creator has to back off. He has to respect this. One cannon will be able to get a little bit more DPS done with these Mutas, but the Mutas just have so much firepower. Armani jumps all the way ahead. Creator's supply is plummeting. He's starting to lose probes. 21, 23 probes do go down. A Ling Flood heads into the natural, and this is crazy pandemonium for Creator. Creator just does not have any options. He's going to try and push across the map with these Stalkers, but I think a Ling Flood will be able to clean that up all the way. And Armani takes the game 1 victory here. GG is called. And Armani showing that once again, even though he is the first of this team to go in, he is not going to just be a pushover, and Creator has to step to the side and allow one of his teammates to jump in and set things on fire for his team. So very well played. Very well played game number 1 here by both of our opponents. We're going to have to see who comes out next for our team of Protoss players in Beef Rice Stew. Is it going to be Trap or is it going to be Patience? Now, it's very, very fun here. A lot of these players are getting very, very involved, even though the COVID-19 pandemic forcing a lot of these players away from local offline events. Of course, great events are still taking place online. We just got done with the Stay at Home Story Cup 2 that just concluded today. And it actually did feature a fair number of our players in, well, fair might not be the right word, but featuring quite a few of them. Bunny participating, Cure as well, Zest participating, Solar participating. Solar actually making it all the way to the grand finals. So these players are keeping themselves in good format here. I am so glad that you guys are able to join here today. So glad to see some of you chatting in the chat. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the English cast of the Afrika TV BJ Destruction League Season 2. So we are getting set up here for our game number 2. We'll have a chance to talk a little bit more about our opponents in just a little bit of time. But one thing that we do have coming here very, very soon is our next season of GSL. Of course, GSL Season 1 already wrapped up. TY, one of our casters, one of our handsome casters here, casting the BJ Destruction League, was crowned the champion of Season 1. So, of course, that means TY will be able to qualify into the round of 16 and get him moved forward in this series. Some actually interesting news here for our GSL Season 2. We've got some brand new players to the GSL in this Season 2. Of course, Alpha X's own Estrella joining the fray. It'll be his first Code S. Very, very excited for that. Of course, Zaun also making his debut. Another Alpha X player making his debut in the round of 24 for GSL Code S Season 2. And Prince, the third. So all 3 Protoss players. Speaking of all 3 Protoss players, we're jumping into our next map here on Everdream. Armani spawning in the bottom left. And our top right Protoss is Patience. So Patient, known to be kind of an aggressive Protoss player here. Getting wound up and ready to go to hold on to his team and see if he can knock Armani off and deny Armani the all-team kill. But Patient's known to be a little bit of an aggressive player. It'll be interesting to see how he fares here in this opening game. Most of our Protoss players taking the advantage of getting those resonating glaives on those adepts. But take a look at Armani here. Armani trying to keep a drone on patrol here. Trying to parse out what's actually happening here. Very, very interesting. It does look like Armani's going to try and take that third base rather quick here. Just double checking for the gateway proxy. And then we'll throw this down. Yeah, and actually a very, very quick third base. But I suppose Armani has a plan here, wanting to jump out and get that base moving. So we'll be able to jumpstart his economy. His larva count will be able to grow very, very quickly. It will allow him to get more units out onto the map in a quicker fashion. But that is going to come off of the heels of Patience not doing anything too terribly aggressive. And it looks like so far it's not going to be anything crazy out of our blue Protoss player. Stargate is going to go down. More than likely going to see some oracles come out. Try and harass those mineral lines, and Adept's going to get forward and do some scouting. And this actually looks like a rather standard opening for our Protoss player. So now the ball is going to be in Armani's court, whether or not he wants to get extra aggressive or if he just wants to utilize his base count to get ahead economically. All right, so Phoenix going to come out onto the map first to try and eliminate some of the scouting potential of Armani. There isn't a whole lot to see right yet. Of course, we are going to see the Phoenix come out and then immediately an Oracle. The tag team duo is going to go after all of the drones of Armani. But first, Armani is going to try and clean up a little bit of the scouting potential. Or excuse me, Patience is going to clean up the scouting potential of Armani. So this isn't going to be a big commitment into Stargate play. He is going to grab the Phoenix and the Oracle alone, and he is going to transition into that robotics facility. But Armani's going to toss away 2 Overlords for the cost of this scout. And behind this, he doesn't actually have a whole lot of probes. He's just now getting 8 more out, dropping +1 melee attack. He's actually sitting down behind Patience on the drone count. And it's going to be a very fast 4 gates going down behind all of this. The first Immortal going to hit the field here for Patience as he is trying to get himself further and further spun up. Armani going to toss down that Baneling nest. So this is an honorable macro match here. Getting that third base down at the 5-minute mark usually showcases that a Protoss player is willing to go the distance, not going to get super aggressive in this series. And try his best to just get up to that large army count. Now, Armani has not yet scouted that this is, in fact, going to be a honorable macro game. But I don't think Armani is going to want to try and take it to that point. He's going to try and leverage the fact that he's got rather large amount of larva production and is going to see the large number of sentries now moving out onto the map. This is going to be a very important engagement here for our red Zerg player. He does have a handful of Banelings, a good amount of Zerglings as well to just toss down 2 spine crawlers at the third base location to add a little bit of damage potential. Ooh, these Zerglings gonna try and wrap around some of the reinforcements here. 2 of those sentries do get caught. Now they are going to get pincered back behind a force field. And they're going to get defended here. That 4th base just going up. Armani's like, nothing to see here. Oh my, and then those spine crawlers are just not very long for the world. Baneling's trying to connect in here, but the force fields are just too strong, and there are still plenty of force fields from Patience. A few of those Banelings actually do manage to get good connections here. A lot of those Adepts dangerously low. But Patience putting on a clinic, showing just how strong these force fields can truly be. But Armani is getting a nice engagement here. More and more of the units of Armani are able to move forward here. Stasis Trap does catch a few of those Zerglings, but not a ton of them. Baneling's trying to get as good a connections as possible, and for now, Armani is able to push back Patience. He's going to have to pick up and head back home. And Armani's in a fantastic position at this point. Doesn't cancel the 4th base, so now has the 4-base economy at bare minimum, at least to utilize the larva. And Patience is going to have to try and rotate and figure out how what he wants to continue engaging in this. Queen count of Armani is just so dang high. As Patience now trying to grab a couple pieces of technology here, grabbing that Dark Shrine to give him the option to go into Archons. And Resonating Glaive is going to be very, very effective against those Zerglings. Patience continuing to try and deal some economic damage here at the 3rd base. Managing to pick up 4 more drones, which is very good economic damage, dropping Armani to 69 workers. Armani, who was struggling with that worker count in the beginning minutes of this game, has now leveled himself out maintaining a 17 worker lead over his Protoss opponent. And Patience is finding himself in a little bit of a rut. Not quite able to tap into the full potential of his worker count, but these adepts are going to move out across the map. 30 adepts, and there really aren't any banelings with this push. Oh my gosh, 16 roaches now in production. Armani knows that the desperation push here for Patience is getting a little bit scary, a little bit too big for his liking. Now, Resignation Glaives is able to finish up here, but the dance has begun. All these roaches trying to show up in small numbers. That is not going to be effective. A big drop in the main base, dropping off those Dark Templar, and more damage being done here. 11 workers go down, 14, 15. Oh my gosh, Patience dealing so much damage to Armani. Armani does have a sizable bank. He can possibly recover from this, but he's just not able to micro in all of the different locations at once. And Patience showing how aggressive he can get with these adepts. So many of these workers going down. 36 worker kills. And Armani is just making roaches. He knows that he has to push across the map if he wants to stay in this game, and he wants to win. Oh, absolutely terrifying push here by Patience. And now this is kind of an all-in moment here. Armani actually taking every single unit that he has here. Good number of Ravagers getting morphed into the fight as well, but that is all of Armani's bank here. He does not have anything left to his name. He has to win with this army. But there is so much anti-roach here in this push that it is just going to be very, very difficult for Armani to get anything accomplished, and his supply starts to plummet, and so do his hopes. Probes do get pulled off of the line, but the DTs have absolutely no answer at this point, and that is all it takes. GG is called, and Patience winning game number 2 and putting his team on the board 1-1. So Armani will not walk away with the all-team kill in this series. We are going to have to see what player Big Brother Cure is going to send out next. Now, in our previous day, after Armani was knocked out, it did go to Solar. So it is possible that we might see yet another ZVP, but we haven't seen Cure come out just yet for his team. Again, team is named after his namesake, so it is possible that Cure might come out and say, hey, you know, I think we're gonna step in and we're gonna take charge. This is my team, dang it. And we're gonna settle everything down. Alrighty. Yo, Anki, what's going on, my friend? Buenas noches. It is super, super late here. Looking at the clock, it is about 12:30 in the morning. I'm so glad to see all of you joining us here on Afreeca TV. Thank you so much for joining and supporting the English cast. We are so glad that we're able to bring this to you live. We do need to thank Afreeca TV and Freaked Up Studios for providing us with this awesome live feed to be able to cast off of this in beautiful HD and get all the audio that we need. So we are going into game number 3. Both teams taking a point here. Patience spawning in the top right-hand corner, and it's going to be Solar spawning in the bottom left of Pillars of Gold. We've got another ZVP in store for you. Solar going to try and take this to ZVP Heaven. See if he can wrap up yet another series. Solar was able to all kill last week's team of Why Are You Here? And Solar might be looking to try and secure a couple more wins in this series as well. So we'll have to see what Solar has up his sleeve here in game number 3. So as we do get wound up here in this series, I'm going to talk a little bit about that GSL Season 2. And actually, I can't do it anymore. I looked in the top left. We have ourselves a bit of a cannon rush here. It is going to be a Gateway Forge. We are going to see cannons start coming down here. This is actually a very difficult location to try and siege if you're the Zerg player. And that is going to be a rather full wall here. Solar not going to be able to scout this in time. I believe that that Solar is going to be unaware of the cannons that are incoming. Now, here is the question. Okay, yeah, so he is just going to put the pylon on the top here. And this is actually an insanely strong place to hold. Solar going to get nervous. Patience immediately saying, hello. And now immediately making this a dangerous call here for Solar. Solar going to try and play this as cautiously as possible, not allow this cannon to get set up here, trying to buy as much time for these spine crawlers as humanly possible. Those spines will be able to reach, I don't believe they'll be able to reach the pylon, but they should be able to reach anything else that tries to reach forward. Now the queen, okay, so actually he will be able to get the pylon. If he can kill this forward pylon, that will be great damage done here. That probe is under fire right now. The shield battery trying to help as much as possible. And the shield, the probe actually does go down here. All right, and with that, Patience does lose vision of the high ground. He's going to have to grab an observer here if he wants to get that high ground. So that is going to delay some of the aggression of this push. And now with the spine crawlers able to move forward here, they will be able to deal a little bit of damage, but that overseer, or that observer, excuse me, now making that a little bit more difficult for Solar to engage into. So Solar trying to be very, very patient here. Sends Lings all over across the map. There is one cannon underway, and I believe that that will be forced away. Yeah, just with that one cannon. Will kill infinity Lings if they can't get through the wall. So it becomes a very slow and steady push here with the Ravagers. Ravager Bile is going to try and drain out the shield battery energy while it still can. Immortals are already on the way as well. Warp Prism will start doing its work here as the queens are going to try and get as much damage done as humanly possible. It's super unfortunate that Solar not able to connect on top of the observer here. Actually, that Immortal taking a significant amount of damage. The shield battery is still getting a lot of good work done, but over half of the hit points already whittled down on this first Immortal. And Patience has to be very, very careful. He cannot afford to lose an Immortal in this push. Every Immortal brings more and more power to the push. Solar being very, very effective here, trying not to lose too many units. Some very good transfuses go down, and the Ravager count continues to climb here. More of the cannons do get picked off, and that's going to allow Solar to be pushed further and further forward, trying to get more and more damage. Bile's going to rain down on top of the incoming shield batteries, and those are not going to be allowed to complete. One Immortal actually gets killed off here. The second one is so dangerously low, and it goes down. GG is called, and Solar holds the Cannon Rush. Outstanding play by our Korean Zerg player, saying, no, 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 Patience. You cannot just come into my house. You cannot just cannon rush me in the PJ Destruction League. You're going to have to get more creative than that. So GG is called. And a very exciting end to game number 3 is going to set us up for a match point here. Solar once again getting ready to flex his ability. He's going to be going up against his opponent in Trap, Beef Rice Stew, on their last life. Solar ended SSB. Oh wait, no, excuse me. Let me get my Let me get my self straight. Yeah. Solar ended SSB's run yesterday, and Solar looking to try and end yet another team today. So we're gonna have to see if Solar can make this happen in game number 4. Gonna be another ZVP. My Zerg heart, so happy. If Solar can win, Rushy will go yet another day of all Zerg versus somebody. Oh, it just makes my heart fill with joy. Zerg this, Zerg that. And it's going to be a good series coming up here. And here we go. Jumping in to map number 4. It's on match point here for our red Zerg spawning in the bottom left of Eternal Empire. This is Solar. And spawning in the top right, the last hope of Beef Rice Stew. It is Trap. So we have seen all sorts of play here so far in this series. We've seen a little bit of aggression. We've seen a little bit of timing. And now what are we going to see here from Trap? Trap sending that probe over rather early. Going to get a block off on that first hatchery here. It is going to be a gateway going down initially. So not necessarily going to be a cannon rush. But it is going to force Solar over to his forward base. And that will at least initially provide some complicating issues here for Solar. But here on Eternal Empire, it's not a death sentence to be shoved off to that third base. Solar will be able to get on top of the natural expansion here. He's going to have to try and deal with this probe that is making mining a little bit of a tricky task for his drones. Behind all of this is going to be a typical gateway expand for Trap. Not anything fancy to write home. Well, that probe has taken a significant amount of hit point damage, so it can't stick around too much longer. Only 9 health remaining. Oh, excuse me. I was drinking my water and water went down the wrong tube, so I apologize. I'm gonna mute and clear my throat here for just a moment. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. All right, we are getting set up and kind of into a normal situation here in game number 4. We are going to see yet another Stargate go down for our Protoss player. Of course, Trap knows that he is the last line of defense for his team in today's matchup. Wants to try and make this a solid game. Try and take this to a game number 5 so that way Trap can square off against Cure in a TVP. Making that the first and only non-Zerg matchup in the BJ Destruction League so far. It is going to be an Oracle opening. More than likely, we're going to see 2 Oracles come out. Very, very effective at killing and clearing drones. It is also still possible now with the Overlord bumping into the natural to try and get a decent scan that a Phoenix could follow up behind this. But typically, you're going to make the Phoenix first if you are going for Phoenix Oracle production. But we'll have to see here in a moment here. Trap is going to get that first Oracle out onto the map, and he's just going to fly it. He's just going to fly it right away. Not going to waste any time. Solar's Ling's going to move across the map here and cause a little bit of chaos at that third base, trying to see when that third base is going to go down. Typically not until the 5-minute mark, but he wants to be there when it hits. And now the Oracle is going to be spotted. It's going to swing up into the main base and starts going to work. 4 workers going down almost immediately, as these drones are going to be forced into running around here. 7 workers going down almost immediately. Oh, that Oracle getting dangerously low. Second Oracle already out on the map. So next swing will include both of those Oracles, but I think that Oracle is just going to stay at home to try and zone against the Zergling run by at that third base, which is now going up. Yeah, so now the Oracle's actually going to push across the map here to try and get some more damage done. Behind this, it is going to be a Forge going down along with the Twilight Council. So a bit of a transition into the mid game for Trap. Neither player really committing to any major aggression here in the opening minutes of this series. So both players going to get into their macro cycles. They're going to go wind up some more workers. And we'll be seeing some more mid-game play. Now, Solar is falling a little bit behind in his macro here. And in fact, the Queens are going to move out across the map here. I'm not sure if Trap actually got a chance to see that, but 3 Oracles going to try and be a pain in the natural here. That's got to be an interesting position here for Solar. I mean, Trap is now going to be able to scout this, but this feels very, very all in, taking 3 of those Queens out across the map and immediately Trap throwing down those shield batteries, trying to get some more of his defenses locked into place. And yeah, this is just going to be a big all in by Solar. This is a very risky gamble here. If he can get on top of the third base, he will be able to secure himself a very strong position here. Sending in Zerglings 1 by 1 to try and find any more stasis wards, but there are none at this point. It's a very, very good force field. It's going to trap all of those Zerglings, but the Ravager Bile is going to create more problems for that and eliminate the issue there. The battery overcharge, it has been used, but it looks like it's just about ready to complete here. Not going to be available for this entire fight, and that is already taken care of. The beams of the Oracles are getting turned on here. Some good transfuses off of these Queens. Some Biles rain down, but really don't connect with a whole lot here. There isn't a whole lot of fight left in Solar's army, but he's going to try and make the most of it. Does nuke down 2 of those, and it just is not enough. GG is called, and Solar tapping out, knowing that his all-in timing, not super effective. Not super effective. So, very good hold by Trap, and that is going to take us to our ace match here. It is going to be Trap versus Cure. We're going to see a non-Zerg matchup. Oh my gosh, Roshi's going to be out of his element. He is not a Terran or a Protoss player. He's just going to have to sit here, and he's probably just going to be super nervous like, what? Well, okay, he's making Marines, and well, they're making not Marines. I think GG. No, of course not. We're gonna still have some very, very good insight into this 5th game of the series, but the winner is going to be able to take the point moving into the latter part of the series. So everything is a little bit of a round robin system leading up to our playoffs that will take place on Thursday and Friday. So all of these map games count. Everything matters at this point. And we are going to jump in to our final game of this series. Winner is going to secure the team point. Spawning in the bottom left of Ice and Chrome is our blue Protoss player, Trap. And making his debut in the team league, spawning in the top right, our red Terran player. Give it up for Cure. Okay. So, bit of a different setup here on Ice and Chrome. Cure going to make his his debut in this Team League series, playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Now, Cure did participate in the Stay at Home Story Cup. I'm curious where Cure ended up. Cure actually did win out his Group H in the initial round. Got through in second place in Group D behind Sue, and then actually loses out. He actually lost out today in the playoffs, 3-1. Wait a minute. No, something's wrong. This is Stay at Home Story Cup 1. Rushy, we need Stay at Home Story Cup 2. Yes, Cure was still a part of it. Cure getting out in second place, behind Cyril in his initial group stage. Cure then actually losing out in Group B to Clem, Stats, and Bunny. So, very unfortunate. I was actually thinking, I was like, wait a minute. I don't remember Cure playing today. So, my apologies. A little bit of misinformation here at the beginning of this series. Now, Drap did not get to show off his prowess in the Stay at Home Story Cup. Not this time, at least. But it is very difficult to include everybody when there are so many great players that get to participate. But now, I think it's a good time, prudent opportunity for us to start talking about the game at hand. We do see Cure working into a very quick concussive shell opening against his opponent. Very, very strong against Stalkers. Will provide a lot of meat to his army. Cure trying to dash on forward to make sure that that natural did go down at a time that he is expecting it to, and only needing to see the pylon to know, hey, that base is there. I know that I can gauge upon it, and that I don't have to worry about any major pushes coming across the map. But Trap does have a proxy pylon up, and he's going to proxy the Dark Shrine. So it will be interesting to see how Trap utilizes this. Cure does have an orbital command, will have a scan available, but if Trap is able to navigate this effectively, he can try and anticipate when Cure goes for a mule drop, and will not have the energy to get the scan that he needs. So we now see those two Marauders coming across the map, and they engage so efficiently against the Stalkers. One Marauder does get picked off for one Stalker, and that is a fair trade for Trap. This Marauder going to get all the way in here, trying to get on top of that Stalker, but that Stalker will not be able to connect. So now behind this, Cure's got to be very, very careful. He knows that his initial pressure did not amount to as much as he wanted to. Now Cure going to try and scout around and check for those proxies, and he is going to see the incoming DTs. So now if you're Cure, what do? Cure already has the turret in the natural. Trap did not get a chance to scout that, so he is going to have to test the waters here. He's very, very anxious, does not want to sacrifice those DTs backing away. But for the most part right now, Cure able to lock this down. Very strong hold so far. Yeah, and Trap knows that his aggression is initially shut down, so going to back off, try and take his third base, and get settled into a little bit more of a stronger economy. Trap actually using his advantage as a worker account advantage right now, 47 to 42. Trap really doesn't have a whole lot of army. He just has some very technical army. But he's going to have to look for this medevac drop. The medevac does skirt on by. Not entirely sure if Trap is aware. He absolutely is now. So these mines going to try and burrow. Only getting one probe here. Probe pull in the main, very strong as well. The probe pull is just a little bit too strong. 2 workers for 2 mines. That is a trade that Trap will make all day long. A robotic spade to go down behind this. Blink Stalker also incoming as well. Trying to get as much mobility as he can. End up getting cleaned up here. And an Archon drop going to move over across the map. Try and provide a little bit of coverage. This is actually a good snipe here by Cure, picking off the Dark Shrines. No more Archons will be available after these initial 2. So a little bit of bio from Cure going to be able to push that off and away, and that is now going to set back the army of Trap just a little bit, but Trap not going to be too phased by it, moving into Colossus tech, researching that extended thermal lance, and getting himself up into position for the next stages of this game. Continued bio is going to be the right response here to deal with the ground forces of Trap. Trap does need to get a little creative here, though. He is falling behind a little bit in that army supply. Cure trying to ramp up his production. A Viking is going to be able to shove this away, and that is going to end a lot of the engagement of that Warp Prism. At least for right now, he's going to have to figure out a way to get more creative, but the bio is going to move out. That Warp Prism will need to come back home. Those Archons will be needed in the fight to save Protoss. I believe there's 1 Colossus out on the field as it sits right now. All right, Trap knows that this bio is here. Big Stim forward is going to get on top of the Colossus, and not even a battery overcharge can save these units, and all of the important units of Trap go down. Cure leveraging such a great army advantage, 71 to 37, getting such a great pull here. He is going to try and regroup this army, but he's put himself in such a great position. 63 to 41 army supply. Cure hitting a very, very strong timing, taking out some of the higher tech units of his opponent. Putting himself into a nice, strong position. Throwing down a star port behind all of this push. And is going to get all of his SCVs out to that 3rd base. And Cure stepping into not only an army lead, but also an economic lead as well. And here comes the second wraparound. Trap actually caught out a little bit on the map here. Going to be forced to use a recall. Trying to kill that Nexus off, and the recall hits just a second too late. Is going to be able to push Cure back and away. Not going to lose any workers for all of this, but losing that base is very, very risky. That is going to force Trap into a bit of an aggressive stance here. He needs to try and get across the map to deal more damage. And the mines are going to be allowed to anchor in the ground and provide a little bit of coverage. But this is an awkward position for Trap. Trap needs to get a lot of damage done, and he has to get it done now. Mines are going to engage on top of the Blink Stalkers, but Blink Stalker's going to just leap away, and that damage is going to be mitigated. There's so much here for Trap. Trap trying to make the most of this situation, knows that he has to win with this army. The Colossus in the back row, trying to get as much done. One does actually go down. And I think Cure has done it. He's pushed this army back and away, utilizing his SCVs to give himself a little bit more in this series. 17 workers go down, but he's going to try and pick off the remaining Colossus, and he absolutely makes it happen. Now, these medevacs are rather low on energy, so not a whole lot of heals available, but the concussive shells are just so massive for Cure. Cure continuing to leverage that army supply lead, 55 to 28. Also maintaining that income. Trap is still all in behind this. He has no 3rd base replacement as of yet. Trap just focusing on trying to make the most out of this micro as he possibly can. And that's just not going to be enough. And Big Brother Cure is going to secure the win in this series. So, showing off a little bit of Cure's last position there. I think, so this is actually, I believe, Cure's stream. I think one of the requirements of the online portion of this tournament is that all the players must be streaming while they play. So, kind of a neat little system here. Getting a chance to see a little bit of Cure's screen. And he's done it. He's won the team point for his team. And that is going to allow them to move on to their next match, I believe will be tomorrow versus 3Zerg. 3Zerg is going to be playing here in our next series against SSB. So we are going to see Sue, SOS, and Bunny of Team SSB squaring off against Rogue, Dongregu, and Ragnarok of 3Zerg. Yesterday, Dongregu making it really quick and simple for his team. Anchoring down all 3 kills, getting an all kill on his opponent. Why are you here? So hopefully we'll get to see a little bit of what Ragnarok and Rogue are able to bring to the team here in our match number 2. So Beef Rice Stew is going to fall to 0-1, playing their first team game of the series. And they will be going up against... Let's see. Why are you here in tomorrow's match? Why are you here? Not playing today. It's their bye day. So, nice little graphic here as we get set and ready to go for the break. It took all 3 players on both teams, but Big Brother Cure steps in at the very end and says, I can secure this win, taking all 5 maps here. Now, this is just one of our 2 matches in today's production. We are going to get set up and ready for match number 2 between 3Zerg and SSB. We will have to see who these 2 players will be tossing it to just in a little while. But that is going to take us to more than likely a short break here. Before our break, I do want to take an opportunity to shout out our sponsors in Titan EX1 and G Fuel. So, we are going to step to a short break here. Don't go anywhere. We do have a second match coming up in today's BJ Destruction League Season 2, Day 2 broadcast. My name is Rushy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, and welcome back, everybody, to the second match of our BJ Destruction Team League Season 2, Day 2 production. My name is Rushy. I'm so glad to be able to bring you this English cast of the BJ Destruction League, brought to you by Afrika TV and Alpha X. We are so grateful that you guys could be here today. We're going to take a peek at the setup here for match number 2. It's going to be 3 Zerg versus SSB. Both of these teams seeing some good success yesterday. SSB actually falling 0-1 in their series. But 3 Zerg actually hasn't even had a chance to play more than one of their players. DRG coming out hot yesterday versus Why Are You Here, and all kills the team 3-0. So we'll have to see if DRG is going to be their first player coming out for 3 Zerg, or if Rogue or Ragnarok are going to be able to hit the stage and show what they can do for their team. Of course, Sue, SOS, and Bunny going to try to do their best to secure a bit more of their team prowess. I mean, obviously, Sue and SOS showcasing some good victories in this series, and showing that they can take their team up and away to deal some great damage and put themselves in a good position moving forward towards our playoffs next week. So we're going to have to see who both of these teams put up for as players. Of course, DRG yesterday started off the series and was able to take a wild ride 3-0 victory. Bunny was the starting player for SSB, and we'll have to see if we get to start with a ZVT start here. It'll be very interesting if that's the case, because all of our first maps have been Death Aura, and I'm starting to believe that it is possible that maybe that'll just happen in general. And I'm totally fine with that if that is the case. But it looks like we are getting set and ready to go here. It is going to be on Death Aura once again, and it looks like we're going to have a little bit of a shake-up here. All right, I'm excited. Spawning in the top left for 3 Zerg. It's going to be our blue Zerg, Ragnarok. And spawning in the bottom right for Team SSB, our red Zerg player, Sue. We're going to start with a ZVZ. Outstanding. Ragnarok going up to his teammate and going, Dongrigu, you got to play 3 games yesterday. Mom said it's my turn at the computer. So we are going to get to see a little bit different matchup here. I absolutely love it. Alrighty. So we are going to find ourselves with a little bit of ZVZ, and on a map like Death Aura, it is going to be very easy to be a little bit more aggressive as a Zerg player. But both players opting to just open for a typical hatch gas pool. Ragnarok actually putting that pool out on the edge of his creep, wanting to make sure that he can possibly wall off in case his opponent is going to cheese. Because actually, with the placement of that spawning pool, you can drop a hatchery and an evo chamber to the bottom right side. You can actually get a full wall off if you do scout an all-in coming across the map. It's a very strong play that doesn't cost the Zerg player a lot to try and position that way. So if for some reason it's needed, you have it there. If not, well, it's just going to sit there and hang out for the remainder of the game. That's not a big deal. But both of these players are going to choose to open up rather safe focus on their macro, get things set up and rolling into this game number 1. Now we are going to see Su move down to the low ground to take his third base. Ragnarok is going to follow. Though we aren't seeing any major aggression here in the beginning portions of this game. Both players do want to try and play this out, at least to the mid game. We'll probably see some roaches hit the field. But it is going to be an interesting position here. Su just on the outskirts of Ragnarok's creep, not able to get a full scout, but both players pretty much mirroring themselves almost to a T here. Baneling Nest going down for both players in addition to the third bases. Ragnarok pooling Larva here. Is going to try and grab some drones at the same time he grabs those Zerglings. And as speed finishes up here for both players, we'll probably start seeing a little bit more aggression. Ragnarok working on the front side of his wall here, dropping an evolution chamber to help make a little bit more of a funnel for these Zerglings. Su is going to try and get a little aggressive here initially. Ragnarok going to get in with this Zergling, trying to scout as much as he possibly can. Is going to check the right-hand side. Does not get a chance to see any extra bases being built on the right side. Ragnarok getting lots and lots of Zerglings here. 19 Zerglings being pulled up. Trying to hide those as much as he possibly can. Su does have another Overlord, and that will get scouted. Su now has to make a bit of a choice here. He has Zerglings of his own on the top side of the map. He will be able to pick off a couple of Banelings. Oh my gosh, Ragnarok coming in with so many Banelings, morphing in 10 all at a time. Ragnarok going to dive in on top of a couple of those morphing Banelings and get as many of those cancels as he possibly can, trying to pick off those Banelings as well. And here comes Ragnarok with a large chunk of Banelings. Going to get on top of the worker line. And he does a great job of trying to mitigate this damage. Some very good splits, trying to keep those Banelings alive as long as possible. Banelings finally able to work in on top of the Zerglings of Su, and Su trying to juggle this as quickly as he can. These queens getting dangerously low. One queen does go down. More of those drones get pulled up to the top of the ramp to try and mitigate some more damage. And these Banelings are going to be morphing in, and they are going to be allowed to complete. Not enough Zerglings here of Ragnarok to fully pull that off. But he's going to have Banelings of his own. One will be able to get out and connect, and the Banelings of Su not quite connecting the way that they need to. Oh my gosh, it was such a scrappy fight here by both of our players. Ragnarok continuing to pour Zerglings out across the map, doing a good job of trying to control these Banelings, and Su is just trying to anchor this all down. He's just one good Baneling connection away from being able to spiral in a positive way here. But Su is a little bit low on his supply count here, 65 to 61, but he is hanging on as much as he possibly can. But Ragnarok behind all of this manages to drone up to 45 workers, getting ahead of his opponent. Su now going to have to play on an economic back foot here, as he is still trying to work on getting his Roach Warren out at this time. Yeah, and these Lings are going to try and continue to force out more and more units from our red Zerg players. These Zerglings are able to pour on in. Good connections here. Going to take off yet another queen. More of these queens going down, forcing more issues here at home for Su. He's going to try and get across the map. He is going to see the economic advantage of his opponent here. Banelings connecting as best as they possibly can. And now with +1 missile attack coming in for Ragnarok, this just becomes a deeper situation here for Su. And Ragnarok in a great position, providing so much pressure against his red opponent, who does have lair tech just about complete here. I don't believe Ragnarok has started his lair. But where do you go if you're Su? You're down so many roaches here. Yeah, he's going to have to go into that Spire. It's going to have to be 3-base Spire play, which is going to force Ragnarok into a little bit of a time crunch here. He does not have... Oh, he does have his lair. I stand corrected. Well, I say corrected. I am corrected. Roach speed is on the way. That is going to help make this a little bit better. +1 missile attack completed for both opponents. And Ragnarok is going to have to try and leverage his army advantage in some way, shape, or form. He's got 30 roaches. Oh my gosh, that's so much army here. Su desperately trying to build as many roaches as he can. He's only got 7 coming out. But I mean, that eclipses the amount that Ragnarok is trying to put out onto the map. So all in all, it's going to be 40 roaches moving across the map, and these roaches are tanky. They are not going to be able, or Mutalisk are not going to be able to engage on top of this very effectively. 50 to 43, 20 to 43, more realistic number here. But even still, at this point, this is going to be a very difficult hold for Su, and Ragnarok's just going to force his way on in there. There is one Ravager. Biles will be able to connect, but they will not get a whole lot done here. I don't think we're going to see any Mutalisk hit the field. This is going to be very good damage. A very good concave here by Su, if he can manage to make this work, but there's just so much DPS. In fact, a couple of roaches actually engaging on the top of the concave here. Ragnarok is able to hold on to his army lead here. 74 to 52. More roaches in production for Su. He might be able to hold initially, but I don't think he holds in the long run because Ragnarok able to take out 19 workers of Su. It comes on the heels of so much economic damage, and Ragnarok back at home has just been able to continue to grow. Yeah, Su will be able to hold, but at what cost? So Ragnarok's going to try and group his forces here. Actually tossing down a Spire of his own? Oh my gosh, Ragnarok. Ragnarok, I don't even know if you need a Spire at this point, my dude. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Ragnarok taking a page out of a Laser's playbook here, making as many Overlords as he possibly can fit onto the map here. Has all of his supply taken care of for the remainder of the game. And now Ragnarok maintains just a little bit of an army advantage here over his opponent. Su desperately trying to get back into this game. Or Mutalisk on the way for Su, as he does try to transition into this mute account. But this is going to be very difficult to deal with here, as Ragnarok has been saving up his gas. He's going to be able to have almost 9 mutas by the time the Spire is allowed to complete, and that's going to very easily engage on top of the units of Su. Only opting to make 7, gonna pick up 12 more roaches as well. But Ragnarok taking full advantage of the supply here. About the time these Mutalisk find themselves on Ragnarok's side of the field, Ragnarok's Mutalisk will be done, and in fact they pop almost immediately on top of that. And I believe Ragnarok is just gonna push across the map and try and get as much damage done as possible. Once again, a 4th base already out and completed for our blue Zerg. Su not even having an opportunity to anchor down that 4th base just yet. Ragnarok trying to get ahead even further economically. And he is going to be able to get that done. Both players supply blocking each other by picking off some of these scouting overlords of their opponent. Continuing to be a little bit of a nuisance. But in the end, this is going to more dramatically affect Su than it is Ragnarok. 191 to 162. Su trying to do everything he can to get back into this game, but he's already behind a 4th base. His 4th base just going down. About halfway completed. But he misses out on so many larva cycles that Ragnarok has had exclusive access to in this game number 1. And Ragnarok's going to push up on the north side here. This 4th base is going to get tagged down, and it's just going to get nuked immediately. It's going to be forced into a cancel. These roaches are going to try and get as much damage done as they can. Both Mutaflox swooping on in, try and save the day. Looks like the Muta counts are dead even, 20-20. It's gonna come down to upgrades. Whose upgrades are gonna finish first? Well, looks like Ragnarok trading a little bit more efficiently in the Mutalisk fight here. Oh my gosh, numbers are always on their side. 14-8, and Sue's Muta count plummets here. The Ragnarok able to get on top of all of the Mutalisk of his opponent. The Roaches don't trade as efficiently, but now that the Mutas are out of the air, these Mutas of Ragnarok are going to be able to engage on top of this Roach army uninhibited. Could potentially jump on top of a Queen, but that's not going to matter. GG is called, and Ragnarok taking game number 1. Making very, very quick work of his Zerg opponent. So we're going to have to see where things go here in game number 2. Anytime you get into a Muta versus Muta battle, that gets to be a bit of a challenging scenario to come back from. I mean, if you get that under amount, Mutas just have so much compounding damage with the bouncing glaives attack of their attack. And if you can even nail a couple of those Mutas down early in that engagement, you give yourself such a great advantage in the Muta versus Muta fight. And that's exactly what Ragnarok did there, jumping on top of a couple of Mutas that weren't quite clumped with the whole army. So Ragnarok is going to be able to flex on game number 1 here. As he moves into game number 2, we're going to have to see if he's going to be playing a ZVT or a ZVP in either Bunny or Bunny or SOS. I was right. And I doubted myself. Folks, I'm going to take the opportunity here to talk about one of our main sponsors here in G Fuel. G Fuel providing great support for Alpha X and all of the different events that we have here in our scene. And we're very, very grateful for all of the support that they give us in hosting the BJ Destruction League here, as we are jumping into map number 2. Spawning in the bottom right, our Zerg opponent, Ragnarok. Spawning in the top left is going to be our red Protoss in SOS, our next representative in this series. So we had the first S in SSB, now we have the second S. As SOS is going to come across the map here and get that probe into position. Now this probe is going to be able to deny this natural expansion here. Ragnarok actually trying to get clever with juking out the probe, but he is going to have to settle for his second base going down in the third base location, which on Submarine here, our map here in map number 2, that could be a very interesting scenario. This is a little bit of a shorter map in the pool, easier to get units across to deal and inflict damage upon your opponent's base. But typically, if you are a Zerg player, you are the one abusing the shorter distance between these two sets of bases. So we'll have to see if SOS wants to come out with anything cheeky here in game number 2. SOS trying the Resonating Glaives against Dong Regu yesterday in his match that he had. Or excuse me, it would have been Solar. Oh my gosh, I keep flip-flopping these teams. But either way, utilizing that very quick Resonating Glaives. We'll have to see if it's something that he wants to do here in game number 2 of this series. And it looks like it might be here. Twilight Council going down rather early at the 2-minute and 20-second mark. And he is burying that pretty deep into the main base. Now there's an Overlord perched over the third base location that could possibly get in and deliver the scout that Ragnarok would need. Adept is going to try and get a little bit of damage. Does actually pick off one of the Zerglings. Making that a little bit of an inconvenient situation here. And it is absolutely going to be a Resonating Glaives timing here out of SOS. SOS believes in the build. He thinks he can knock down Ragnarok with this. And that's going to be up to Ragnarok to scout this. He does have the Overlord incoming on the top right side. The Stalker is out of position. This Overlord is going to be able to get all the way in and see what the Rock is cooking. And it is a Glaive Adept timing. In fact, 3 more Warp Gates going down as well. So this is going to be a 4-gate pressure. Immediately tossing down a Roach Warren. He knows that he needs to have something a little bit more sturdy in this defense. And Roaches are absolutely going to cut it. So Ragnarok's going to be prepared for this when this does strike. A Warp Prism is going to come out across the map and offer more aggression to this push. But I have to say that I think Ragnarok is going to be ready to push this off. I mean, the distance between these 3 bases is not monumental. It's not very difficult to rotate back and forth while the Adepts do a bit of their jumping. So we're going to have to see how long SOS is willing to commit to this push. But he's absolutely ready to go. He's actually just warping in these units right in the face of Ragnarok's Overlord. And here comes the dance. A couple of Roaches conveniently placed down in the third base location. The Adepts are actually not going to jump just yet. They are going to try and get a little bit of damage done here in the third base location. And I think Ragnarok was actually expecting those Adepts to jump on 2 different occasions. That Cyber Core getting so dangerously low. Oh my gosh, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ragnarok commit a few lings across the map just to try and whittle that away. And that would reduce the amount of Adepts that SOS is able to warp in here. But otherwise, getting a decent amount of damage mitigated here in his base. SOS not finding those worker lines as much as he'd like to. So behind this, he is going to probe up just a tiny bit and work on getting that probe count up a little bit stronger. And I think he is just going to push back and away. Nope. I was mistaken. Those Adepts are going to wind up for round 2 once again, getting a couple more warp-ins. The Zerglings are going to swing around the top side here. That would shut down this engagement. That would absolutely put this engagement to bed. In fact, that would create a lot of chaos here for his opponent. Okay, so these are all the Adepts in this push for right now. So 13 is the number that will be here. It's only Zealot warp-ins at this point. It's slow Zealots. No charge on the way at this point. An Immortal is going to be incoming. SOS finally getting a little bit of damage done here. Ragnarok's worker count is starting to plummet. Plummeting all the way down below 30 workers. This was the damage that SOS had been looking for, and he just had to fight tooth and nail to get there. Oh, baby. SOS isn't even behind, and he's going to toss down the Dark Shrine. More than likely just to move into that Archon production and to get himself situated a little bit further down the road. Plus, it's also a tech structure that he can build that does not require the Cybernetics Core being on the field. So naturally, that would be a progression that he wants to try and do, but he's got to hold this push by Ragnarok here first. Ragnarok going to take all of his forces. He's just going to abandon the main. He knows that he can be a little bit all in on this. Does pick off the robotics facility, so no more Immortals. Only 2 on the field, but that is going to be enough to push away these Roaches. Ragnarok doesn't want to just toss away all this army, but his economy is in shambles. SOS trying to make the most of this. quite sure. I mean, this is still really good engagement potential by SOS. He still has the Warp Prism. He is still able to warp in slow Zealots. In fact, actually, the Cybernetics core is complete now, so Adepts are back on the menu once again. And the Adepts are going to leap into the natural and find more drones. Oh my gosh, Ragnarok, you're falling so far behind. DTs are going to get warped in as well. This is chaos. This is pandemonium for our blue Zerg. I think SOS has done it. I think he has executed this build just a little bit more confidently here in this series, taking down the main base. SOS behind this is like, okay, I can take my third base now. The DTs are going to clean up the spawning pool in the main base, and Ragnarok has little to nothing to work with at this point, having to rebuild all of his tech structures. He doesn't even have enough army to push across the map and cause any more damage. The 2 Immortals were enough to put this back and away, and these Archons are going to morph on in, and I think that is going to force Ragnarok out of this game. GG is called. And we find ourselves evened up once again here, 1-1. Ragnarok not going to get the team kill, or the all-team kill in this series. Whew. Very, very exciting matchup here. So we're going to have to see what we move into here for our game number 3. Who is it going to be? Are we going to see Rogue? Are we going to see the Katowice champion? Or are we going to go back to Dong Regu, who dominantly carried his team in yesterday's team match? We'll find out here in just a moment. Looks like we will not be waiting very long for this to come out here. We are very grateful for all of you joining us here. Over 111 outstanding people joining in the chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. My name is Rushy. You guys are watching the BJ Destruction League Season 2, Day 2, right here on play.africatv.com/alphaxsc2. We're so happy to be able to bring you the only English cast of this event. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you share this link and this information with all of your friends, because we're going to be here for another 5 days. We're not quite done with our production for today, but we have so many more days coming up as we get ready for map number 3. Ooh, there we go. Spawning in the bottom left is our red Protoss player, SOS, and spawning in the top right is our Katowice champion in Rogue. So we are going to get to see all 3 players here for 3 Zerg. Holding Dong Regu in reserves, having him store up his energy in the hyperbolic time chamber in case he needs to come out and show SOS a thing or two. But Rogue would probably just as happily take care of his opponent as well, not wanting to mess around here and put his team on their last life. And if anybody can do it, it is Rogue. Rogue, very, very strong player in the last few years. Of course, winning BlizzCon. Of course, winning IEM Katowice. If you take a look at his recent GSL results, it might surprise you, but don't let his exit in the round of 24 put you into a sense false security. He's an outstanding player with lots of potential and very, very strong in his playstyle. So now he is opting to go for that very quick third base to mitigate a little bit of the damage of the natural being blocked by the probe. And on Eternal Empire, that does leave for enough space for him to get that accomplished. That's not too big of a deal here. SOS is going to more than likely try to make him pay for it, but it's going to be in the form of a Stargate opener here, not going for those early resonating glaives. Going to try and play this out in a little bit more of a macro style. So it'll be up to Rogue if he wants to try and set up some aggressive engagements here in this game number 3. The winner of this game will put their team onto match point. So both players wanting to make the most of this game while they can. It is going to be an Oracle first. We're probably going to see 2 Oracles coming out once again to get into those mineral lines and deal as much damage as they possibly can. Behind this for Rogue, he is going to try and mitigate the damage of the Adept, actually taking a lot of the hit points away. That Adept is going to be forced back. And it's just going to be drone production. Drone. Now we are going to see the Twilight Council go down at a, still, I wouldn't call it super early, but I think at a time where it's going to showcase that SOS is not going to commit to those Stargate units, only making 1 Oracle. The second Oracle now on the way. First Oracle going to try and engage on top of the mineral lines, and there's actually no Spore here. This hits a little bit earlier, so SOS is able to make the full value of this that he can. He's going to be able to pick off 8 workers before the Queens end up chasing him away. And on the opposite side of this, the 2 Adepts are going to come in and force some workers off the line as well. Not only 10 workers going down, but so much lost mining time. So the second Oracle is going to join the fray now and try and get more damage done here. Oh, but that is going to fly into a gauntlet of Queens. Those Queens going to be able to get a lot of damage done initially before the Oracle is able to engage on top of the mineral line. 2 more workers do go down, but a total of 12 and both Oracles still alive. That is a great position. So now behind all of this harassment, now SOS is going to go, all right, now I'm going to get my resonating glaive. Now I'm going to try and engage on top of it. Oracle trying to get a little bit more damage here. Does pick off 1 more worker. And behind this, Rogue dropping his lair, trying to get into that roach tech. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Nidus network coming down here. Rogue does have a Overlord in position. But third base just a little bit late, and it actually is going to get denied by the Zerglings of Rogue. That might actually force SOS into a bit of an all-in situation here. Resonating Glaives now completed. Once again, the dance begins. But Rogue's able to deal with this a little bit more efficiently than Ragnarok was in game number 2. Able to push back most of these Adepts and actually killing off a majority of them. Transition happening here for SOS as he does pick up that robotics bay. The double Oracle dives on in, pulls the workers off the line. They're going to try and get as much value as possible. Oh my gosh, that Oracle so dangerously low. 20 workers going down in this game for Rogue. Rogue could have such an economy lead, but unable to push off the full damage of these Oracles, so the Oracles will have to lay back. Nice little wall off at the top of that ramp, not allowing those Adepts to be able to cycle over into the natural base. So he's only going to be able to engage at the third base ramp, which does help with Rogue's ability to be able to guard and protect. SOS is going to try and target down the Roach Warren, but actually gets caught in the process, so he's going to force a recall. That's actually a great play for Rogue. Allows the SOS to play a little bit more safely. He doesn't want to toss away all of his units and not have a reasonable out to save himself. Now, disruptors are going to be hitting the map here for SOS. Rogue is nursing a little bit of a lead here, 125 to 99. Is working on getting his 4th base out. We'll have access to that Rich of Vespine geyser to get more and more gas. And this just continues to rotate back and forth here. Rogue, after losing so many workers, still continuing to hold his head up high in this game number 3. Rogue wants to move his team into a match point situation, and he's going to try and do it as confidently as possible. But SOS is going to try and get as much harassment done as possible as the bulk of his army tries to move on in. Nice little contamination on the robotics facility is going to slow down the production of those disruptors, even for just a little while. The first disruptor is going to come out. One Ravager does go down. Hydras are out on the field. We'll be able to push away the Warp Prism, and that, once again, takes out a lot of the teeth of this push. The disruptors are up at the top here, going to try and connect, actually get on top of some roaches. Oh my gosh, some insane disruptive novas. Getting on top of almost all of the roaches of Rogue. Oh, that's so much damage here. So much supply that Rogue just immediately loses. Now, SOS does lose a good chunk of his army as well, but at what, once again, at what cost? Now, the Lurker Den is complete. SOS going to have a big warp into the depths here. Oh my gosh, Rogue having to try and hang on for dear life here. Has so many different oracles that he's trying to deal with. Is doing a nice job of trying to mitigate this damage. The second oracle not going to be able to get another stasis ward off on the 3rd base location. Is able to push that up and away. Disruption Nova is going to try and engage on top of workers. 4 more workers going down. Rogue does need to engage into this a little bit better. Dark Shrine just about to finish up here for SOS. SOS relying on these disruptors, all 7 of them, to get so much work done. He can continue engaging on top. Excuse me, my bad. On top of these armies. Oh, actually picking off so many of these disruptors, or lurkers, excuse me. Zerglings are going to be able to get on top of the Adepts, and that actually leaves these disruptors wide open. Zerglings going to try and engage on top of this, and Lurkers will be able to hit the field here. 2 Corruptors going to try and swing around the right-hand side and get some work done on the natural base. But SOS is going to have to be careful here. These Lurkers are able to pick up and burrow again in new spots, making this very difficult to engage. But SOS does have the right units to make this work. 158 to 132. This is not an insane army difference at this point. Oh, those Colossus are going to be able to engage with that lower base from the high ground, making that very, very difficult to deal with. The 5th base of Rogue is under fire, as the 4th base of SOS does get cleaned up by a push across the map. SOS might have to recall back. I don't know if he has enough to deal with this. 2 Colossus, a shield battery, and a Dream will be enough to hold this for right now, as more and more units do bleed off for SOS. 175 to 132. Oh, SOS can't afford to lose all of these disruptors. The Zerglings are going to try and get on top of this. Purification Novas are going to get so much damage done. Oh my gosh, 5 of those disruptors go down. That's so much damage. That's so much lost potential here for SOS. And the Zerglings are going to try and get more done as well. Ooh, a little bit of misrally here by Rogue. tossing away a couple pieces of his army here for free. But the Lurkers are able to continue zoning and make this a more stable location here for Rogue to deal into. But carriers are on the way. Oh, carriers. +1 air weapons as well. Incoming for our Red Protoss player. Now the question is, going into carriers, does SOS have enough to anchor this down? He only has 74 armies supplied to the 120 of Rogue. More and more Lurkers coming onto the field. If SOS doesn't have enough to deal with the ground army, he will just fold over and he will force a potential match point here for Rogue and the 3 Zerg. This is not going to be a great hold here at the 4th base. In fact, this 4th base will be under fire. This is going to go down. Those Lurkers waiting in the wings here, trying to get a good position to be able to engage this army. And I think now the Lurkers are going to try and go, but they are faced with 2 carriers and an observer. They're going to be forced to back off. Behind all of this, Rogue able to pick up his 5th and 6th base once again. And I think this is going to be the push that ends SOS. Rogue effectively maxed out here, does have some creep going down at the forward 4th base location. Oh, a great Viper pull onto the first carrier is going to eliminate that carrier from play. And now SOS has to play so carefully. He can't afford to let all of his big units get pulled away by the Vipers. And I think this is just going to be a big fold in. Vipers are still in play, trying to deal some damage, dropping a couple blinding clouds. Some of the units getting choked up on the ramp. But here comes the big pull, separating some of these big army units, and SOS is not going to have enough to hold this down. Rogue continuing to pour across the map, and GG is called. Rogue brings his team to match point in this best of 5 series. Well played by the Katowice champion. So it's going to come down to Rogue versus Bunny in our game number 4. This is potentially our last game of the night. So once again, want to try and get that full sponsor out for G Fuel. G Fuel, the official drink of esports, bringing you great flavors to keep you hydrated and energized throughout all of your various acts throughout the day, whether you are working from home, playing some StarCraft 2, or on the go. G Fuel's got you covered in tons of great flavors to keep you fueled for the entire day, whatever your day may bring. G Fuel, the official drink of esports. We are so grateful for all that they bring to Alpha X and all the opportunities that we get to do here as a part of our organization. So if you have the opportunity, please do consider supporting G Fuel. Give them a thanks at bare minimum. If you find them on Twitter, tell them thank you for supporting StarCraft 2 and StarCraft esports in 2020. We're so grateful for the partnership that they have with them. As we get set up for here in game number 4, it is going to be Bunny versus Rogue. Rogue and 3 Zerg sitting on match point. If Rogue can clutch out his final win, he will secure the 2nd point and actually move 3 Zerg up 2-0 in our bracket here and join Big Brother Cure up top of the leaderboard. So we'll have to see if they can lock that in here. It looks like we're getting set up and ready to go, and we're jumping on in. We are headed to Golden Wall. Spawning in the bottom left of Golden Wall is our blue Zerg player in Rogue, and spawning in the bottom right is our red Terran player, Bunny. Now, Bunny did get bopped yesterday, but not before he was able to secure a victory over his opponent in Armani. So he does know how to play PVZ in a convincing fashion to give himself a win. But we'll have to see what he has in store here for Rogue. Again, match life on the line. So he does want to be careful in what he plays. If he loses this match, the team point will go to 3 Zerg. Now, what I do think is interesting is if 3 Zerg can close this out, that will set up a very interesting matchup in Big Brother Cure versus 3 Zerg tomorrow. The 2 top teams potentially facing off tomorrow in our next match, which should be really, really cool. And once again, just a little bit of a programming note. Starting tomorrow, all of our remaining casts will be held at 5 o'clock Central Daylight Time. So that will put us a little bit later. It's actually 5 hours later than our current production cycle is right now. So for me, that transitions me from a late night cast to an early morning cast, which makes me kind of a happy human being. But for the rest of you, kind of just puts us at a little bit nicer times. So if you're in Europe, that puts you right in the early afternoon. If you are in Eastern Asia, a little bit of a later cast. And if you're all the way in Hawaii watching this cast, I'm so sorry. It will still put you in the middle of the night. But I digress. Both players opening up rather standard here. Not a whole lot to talk about at the beginning of this game. That's why I try to make a little bit of side talk. Rogue does get in to scout just a little bit. Doesn't quite see the 1-1-1, but he does see a fair amount of Marines pooling up at the top of the ramp. Rogue is going to move across the map with his Zerglings. He knows that there are not Hellions to contend with at this time. So he's going to try and see what he can get done in this opening. It's actually quite interesting here. Not seeing a 2-1-1 style, but we are seeing mostly Marines at this point. So no 2-1-1, but a 2-1-1-esque opening here in this game number 4. Bunny needs to make the most of this. Again, match life on the line here. A couple of Widowmines going to be coming out as a part of this push. Widowmine's going to be a much more common fixture in Terran Bio armies with the change in the recent patch, allowing the presence of an armory to give burrow vision for Widowmines rather than having to research drilling claws. So that will make them a little bit more versatile in bio armies, especially a little bit earlier in the game. And I'm sure that we'll start seeing a little bit more in terms of Widowmines being added into these drops. So it is going to be a 14 Marine drop headed towards the main base. And actually there's a lot of space on that lower left corner. There will be an Overlord that will spot this, so Rogue will not be completely blind, but he will have to react to this rather quickly. He doesn't have a whole lot here. His Zerglings are still in production. He does have a fair amount of Queens. The mine allowed to engage on top of the Queens. Queens do soak up most of the damage, but all of the Lings actually get killed off by Marines. The medevac getting dangerously low here. Oh, and does manage to scrape out with just a couple of hit points left. All in all, a rather decent hold by Rogue. Does secure himself a little bit of footing in this matchup here. Rogue actually kind of eating a bit of a supply block here, building 6 Overlords to compensate that. I feel that. That makes me feel better as a Zerg player when I see, oh my gosh, Katowice champion gets supply blocked too. Oh, that makes me feel better. So Bunny is going to try and mitigate the route to the 4th base in the pocket location. Of course, if you take down the mineral patches, you can get access to that back base, but Bunny wants to be able to harass from that location. So he does siege up very briefly to try and slow that down and force Rogue to the top side, which is absolutely what happens, taking the 4th base at the top location rather than down below. Liberator's trying to get a little bit of work done. One of the queens does go down, but it does get the Liberator picked off. So these Liberators not finding a whole lot of damage here. A couple of workers. Bunny floats out to the gold base, which, if Rogue is unable to identify this, could be a lot of damage done over time economically for Bunny. And Rogue is going to jump on top of the army here in the main, or in the natural base here. Ling's going to get on top of this and create a little bit of chaos. These workers are going to be under fire. Picking off 6 workers right now. But it might come at the cost of a 4th base for Rogue. Rogue not entirely sure how to deal with this. He wants to get more and more worker damage done as he possibly can. In fact, 4 more of those workers going down at the gold base, but yes, his 4th base is going to fall. All the Zerglings do get cleaned up in Bunny's natural, and Rogue in a little bit of a pickle here. It's going to throw down his Spire, try and get some Mutalisks to deal with the Medivacs of Bunny. And we are going to see more of a bio presence here for our Red Terran. So 1-1 already completed for Bunny's bio forces. Looks like 1-2 on the way for Rogue. So Rogue actually not getting his +1 melee initially. So that will keep him offset a little bit. It will make his Lings just a little less effective. Bunny will have a slight advantage in that regard as his 2-2 is already underway. Oh gosh, and Rogue not scouting this force on the top side here is going to put pressure on that 4th base once again. I don't think Rogue can afford to lose this base once more. But Bunny is going to do what every Terran player does very, very well, and he's going to try and engage on multiple locations. Baneling speed actually not quite ready as well. Mutalisk will be able to get on top of the Medivacs here. So Banelings get some great connections as everything gets cleaned up in the natural. But now the drop here at the 4th base will need to get pushed away as well. That base getting dangerously low. Rogue will have to keep an eye on it if he wants to stay alive. Because he's taken such an economic hit here. He does have enough workers. I mean, he's got 88 drones in his economy. But if he loses this 4th base once again, that will cause him major economic pains. Rogue gonna go for a gold base of his own, which I don't think is a bad idea. But on the heels of it, Bunny is going to engage on top of that 4th base once again. Marines, Marauders, Widowmine. A very anti-Zergling, Baneling, Mutalisk army. And Rogue is going to need to engage on top of this here. Baneling's trying to morph in the face of danger, and they will not be allowed to complete. So fortunately, Rogue does have Banelings at his disposal. Trying to spread out his units as much as possible, trying to draw out the mines. The Rogue does a relatively nice job, but does not get to keep the base. So he's going to have to transfer those workers down and away. 89 to 63. But Bunny has the far superior army. 101-74. So Bunny, who is, done a lot of economic damage here in delaying and delaying and delaying that fourth base of Rogue, is going to try and compound on his army lead here by pushing forward and dealing more damage. He's going to try and push the creep back just a little bit. Banelings get a nice connection on a chunk of the army up top. And these Lings are going to try for one of the biggest run-bys in the history of Ling run-bys. That's so many Zerglings. Is that going to force Bunny all the way back home? It absolutely is. This is what Rogue needed. He wanted to clean up some of these workers. He wanted to force the workers off and away. But most importantly, he wanted Bunny back on Bunny's side of the map. He didn't quite have enough to deal with all of this. So this Zergling committal was absolutely what Rogue needed. And Rogue ever closer to that supply cap here, but still maintaining that strong worker lead, 86 to 59. Mita's trying to get as much damage as done as possible, and another Ling run by is going to force Bunny into a bit of a confusing situation. He kind of stutter steps here. He isn't quite sure what he wants to try and do, but he is going to commit with half of the army out onto the map and try and get as much damage done as possible. Rogue going to pick off the orbital command, and that is a big base pick for Rogue. And these mutas just have no answers in the main base here. These mutas are going to get on top of the engineering base, and they are going to pick off +3. That is a great position for Rogue to play from. Oh, and these Zerglings are being such a pain here, dumping into the gold base of Bunny, getting more and more damage done. Rogue just needs an answer for the army at this point. The army has so much meat to it. 132 to 83. So Rogue will need some very, very clean engagements here. The Muta's going to try and engage on top of these armies here. The Thor's going to be good and effective, but they just don't have anything to tank for them. And now all of these medevacs are going to mostly get cleaned up. The Bioforce actually does rally over here and will force that back and away. 6 workers do go down for Rogue. Rogue still maintaining a major army supply lead. And that gold base is now officially kicking in. So Rogue does want to try and hold on to this. He's got to be very, very careful that he does. I think now that 4th base up at the top is losable if you can hold on to the gold. And he is going to sacrifice that base. He knows that he has to make this happen here. Baneling's going to come pouring on in, and all of these Marines have no coverage. Bunny scanning to get those drones out of the 4th base, but really isn't able to get any major damage done. And oh, Rogue is just everywhere on the map now. Bunny having a difficult time trying to recover from this. These mutas getting so much damage done. And now Bunny playing on a major back foot here. He does have 16 Widow Mines. If there were any unit that could get him back into this series, it would be 16 Widow Mines. And he's going to sacrifice one of those Overseers to try and clean up more of those Widow Mines. More damage going down at the gold base. The gold base actually getting very close to mined out. So Bunny is going to have to be careful here. He does not have a 4th base at a natural location, where Rogue currently sitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases outside of his gold, and is working on a 6th base as well. And now Rogue is effectively maxed out. He's going to try and be as careful as he possibly can with all of these mines. And Bunny, I think, is just going to try and push across the map. Oh my gosh, I just now noticed the base down at the bottom here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bases here for Rogue. Rogue just trying to be an unstoppable force. But Rogue is going to have to come back and deal with this, losing a lot of workers for this exchange here. 28 workers going down. He still has a sizable worker lead, 68 to 33. but he needs to try and clean up all of these expensive medevacs of his opponent. Is he going to be able to get on top of these? There are no mines in sight, and every single medevac's going to get picked off. Oh, outstanding play by our blue Zerg. Making this look easy here. Oh my gosh, but he has traded so inefficiently. Trading away almost 4,000 more minerals over Bunny. A bit of an interesting scenario here. Rogue does need to be careful. He does have a 70 army supply, or a 70 supply lead. But they are dead even on army. Rogue just needs to trade out one more time here, and he's going to try and surround here. Great concave. Makes that easy, and GG is called, and Rogue cleaning this up 3-1 for the 3 Zerg, and sets up a fantastic setup for tomorrow, where our 2 undefeated teams will go face-to-face to take each other down. Very, very well played in this series. Super excited to see how all of this is going to transform. That does end our production for today, and sets us up for a day 3. Big Brother versus Cure, our 2 undefeated teams will square off against each other at the very, very beginning. And Why Are You Here and Beef Rice Stew going to be a battle of our 0-win teams. One of those teams will be able to come away with a win and move themselves a little bit forward, and our bracket will continue to expand. So we can take a look here at the match 2 results. We can see the 3 Zerg able to get it done here on 4 maps. SSB is going to fall to 0-2 as well. And SSB will be taking the day off tomorrow, as they will have their bye. They will need to try and re-rally and see if they can secure a win in this Team League series. So both of our matches today, very well played. Getting some more maps on this, and we're definitely welcome to seeing that. Definitely enjoy having these nice productions brought to you by Afrika TV and Alpha X. And we're only just now getting started, folks. We will be working it through 5 more days of production, and we'll have 3 more of the group stage style round robin. So we are very, very excited to be able to put on more results for you going forward. We hope that you take an opportunity to check out more of our productions going forward into the future. Now, once again, just a programming note, our next day 3, and in fact, I'll make sure that this is up on the main screen. This will be 5 hours later in the future. Or actually, no. Yeah, 5 hours later into the future. That's my fault. So tomorrow, we will see our 3 Zerg versus Big Brother Cure, and it will be Why Are You Here versus Beef Rice Stew. That'll be starting at 19 in Korea. It'll be a 5 a.m. production here, Central Daylight Time in North America. It should be a noon production time in Central Europe. But that's going to be it for me. My name is Rushy. You can catch me at twitter.com/RushySC, or if you want to check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/RushySC. We're so grateful to have you join us for these fantastic productions here on Afrika TV. We look forward to getting wound up for another awesome day of StarCraft 2 in the BJ Destruction League Season 2, Day 3. So, on behalf of my cohorts at Afrika TV, our Korean casters, and our English caster, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you'll join us next time. Not same time, but definitely the same place, play.afrikatv.com/alphaxsc2. Until then, so long, farewell, and we will see you for our next cast. Take care.